Hi, welcome to the Red Booth Show. For tonight's episode, I have special guests Byrnes and Micheline Pitt. They both design and also Laura runs Pinup Girl Clothing, which is the amazing outfits that I've been wearing on this show since it first started. So check out our interview. All right, so here we are with the ladies of Pinup Girl Clothing, Laura Byrnes and Micheline Pitt. Hi, thank you for coming on the show.
Of course, anytime.
Thanks for having us.
Definitely. I, have been totally in love with your clothes. And just even with me being able to wear them on my show, I've just kind of learned so much about my body and the styles of things that make me that flatter my shape. Mm-hmm. And it's been a really actually educational experience for me, for fashion. And I just, wanted to say how awesome that is and that you guys have let us use this on the show. It's been really cool.
No, we're happy to. And yeah, I think that's actually something that's kind of sucked for women for a really long time is, fast fashion, it actually doesn't care what your body looks like. If, it's this kind of shapeless thing and then you just put it on and...
Or does it fit your boobs?
Yeah.
Which is the biggest thing where it's the cups here and you're like, oh, well, that's nice.
I don't understand.
Just totally cuts into the wrong place.
And so actually people don't know how to dress anymore. I'd say the average person doesn't know how to dress at all.
For their body type, especially.
Right.
Because there's not many options out there.
Yeah, that's totally true. That's one of the things that's really amazing about your clothing line because to me, it really is made specifically for accentuating the right parts,
Yeah.
It's super flattering.
Way clothing used to be made. It used to be made like that, and you cared about tailoring. We still, for men, there's still suits, and you go and you pick out your jacket and you pick out everything, and then they tailor everything to fit you. They don't do that for women anymore, and they tell the women, no, tailor your own body to fit whatever this is. And that doesn't work.
It's unflattering, and then
right.
Also they go to those really sort of cheap boutique stores where you just it would only look good on you if you're 100 pounds or something that.
And even then, if you have absolutely no curves whatsoever. I mean that's one of the reasons that I actually started the company was because, and it was 1999, but still I was wearing a lot of vintage, but I would ruin it. I'm just terrible. If something lasts in perfect shape for 60 years until it gets on my body.
Because you would wear it so much.
Yeah, or just I don't know.
I'm catch up on it.
Yeah, I'm Pigpen. I'm Pigpen from Charlie Brown. I absolutely am. So yeah, I would just destroy anything. And at this point, I have a few vintage things that I'm just really try not to destroy, but it always happens. But then going to regular stores. I would, a pair of pants. If it fit my waist, it didn't fit my hips. If it fit my hips, it was too tight, or it wasn't long enough, or anything. And it's ridiculous because I actually have exact proportion, size 4 fit mannequin, and
wow.
You're thinking if I am as close as you can get to what people are using,
and you're having a hard time,
and I'm having a hard time, then everyone's having a hard time.
Totally.
Absolutely, so it's really kind of ridiculous. So yeah, unless you are essentially all the fast fashion, all of this cheap stuff is made in China, and what people don't understand is that the patterns are also being made in China, and it's being fit in China on people who are Chinese, and that body type,
really?
The Asian body type, is different. It just is. There's a tendency for less of a waist, a longer torso. So that's why when the stuff comes here, it doesn't fit Americans. We're curvier. We eat different food. We eat more food. And we have hips and we have smaller waists and bigger boobs. And that's why this stuff doesn't fit. So we were like, that's fine. Let's just exploit this opportunity, this gaping hole where there's no clothing that actually fits women out there.
That's amazing. I had no idea about that, by the way. That's crazy.
There was some very rigid computerized programs for patterns, and you can't get an organic shape as easily out of a rigid computer program. It's like drawing in the computer versus drawing on paper.
Right.
There are people that are very good at drawing in the computer, but how many pattern makers are there good at creating patterns in a computer versus by hand? There's barely probably any out there.
All our patterns by hand.
All of our patterns are done by hand.
Wow. Yeah, and you're the designer for Deadly Dames, right?
Yes.
That's awesome. So you guys, how did you guys come together?
Well,
that's a story. I had known about Pinup Girl since I was probably 16 when she started, And at the time it was like Halloween costumes and like cotton sew dresses and you know, other odds and ends. But at the time I was like 16 and couldn't really afford anything. I think I got like a skirt from there, from like Lucky 13, like back in the day. And when I was on America's Next Top Model, like people were commenting like, oh, you should model for Pinup Girl. Oh, you should model for Pinup Girl.
And they were doing the same to Pinup Girl. They were contacting us and saying, this girl, she just got thrown off because she had tattoos, and we thought that wasn't fair.
Really?
I mean, people really sympathized with her for getting thrown off for having tattoos, and they were like, and so they were contacting me going, you should hire her.
Yeah.
About that, because how tattoos have become so popularized, and it's like I was literally one of the first girls on TV that was heavily tattooed.
Wow.
And and I think Masumi was on like a reality show as well.
Fear Factor. She ate a potato bug. It's still the only thing of Masumi's I've never seen.
I've never seen it either.
No.
I know.
She had a strategy and everything because someone ate the potato bug before her, and she noticed that the potato bug would bite you as you tried to eat it.
No!
It gets grosser. The story gets more gross.
No.
So she decided, I know, I'll bite its head off first. So she bit the head off, chewed the head, ate it, and then ate the rest of the potato. I was like, I can't even look at a potato.
Only Masumi can do that. I don't even know how to do that.
She don't give a... She doesn't care.
She doesn't care.
She does not care.
So that is crazy. Oh my god.
So I ended up contacting them, and we contacted each other, and I modeled for them, and that was my first time meeting Laura. She actually wasn't taking the photos at the time. It was this other guy, Octavio, that was taking them, and I think he's like retired now, and he like directs and does other filmography stuff. And I was like super nervous because like Laura was just sitting in the corner drinking a Corona, like cracking jokes and like talking shit the entire time.
So she's trying to model, she's trying to be professional. Octavio's trying to take photos, and I'm literally, and it's because he brought me a 40.
Yeah.
So it was a 40 of Corona. It was in his fridge. He's like, oh, I've got a 40 of Corona in there for you. I'm like, you're a true friend, dude. So I'm sitting there just drinking it and cracking jokes, and she's just like,
and
what is happening?
And then like rolling around on a mattress that I later found out was used for other things.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
I didn't know about that either.
Sorry.
And but like it was like the most bizarre first photo shoot ever, but like in a totally awesome way. And then I kind of got a feel for like what they were like as a company and saw how like small scale their team was and everything. And I had been working in animation for a while and hadn't gotten paid like in over 2 months. What? And like was living off ramen noodles. Like, I'm not even kidding.
Wow.
So
welcome to Hollywood.
She's an amazing sketch artist, and you can draw like
graphic.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I was doing character design for a Mel Brooks animated TV show, and they just weren't paying me. They weren't paying anyone. I don't understand like what the producers were doing. It had nothing to do with Mel Brooks not paying us. It had to do with the producers. So like, I emailed her because I knew that their busiest season was Halloween. So I said, hey, do you need anybody? Like, here's my situation. I'd love to come and help you. And if you have opportunities for anything else, I'd love to talk to you.
And I didn't want to hire her.
She didn't want to hire me, which is fine.
Well, the reason I didn't was because, she was modeling for us, and she only modeled a couple of times, but, I wanted her to continue to do that since she was a good model and everything. And
you were like,
apparently I wouldn't have wanted to keep modeling for her.
My reasoning, I had other people come to work for me, and more
doesn't work out.
Well, yeah, especially in the beginning before I actually learned how to like find and keep good employees. Like, I would just get a lot of crappy ones. So more than half the time didn't work out. Tell me, gotta go. So I thought to myself, like, I can't hire her because if it doesn't work out, she's gonna have to go, and then I lose an employee.
You won't be able to use her
and a model because she might be mad. So I don't want to do that.
I was like, oh, Lord,
she liked you too much.
She liked me too much. So I finally, like, someone else convinced her to interview me, and so I put together like a 5-year plan.
Yeah, she showed up. Wait, let's just stop right there. She showed up for an interview to help me do warehouse work with a 5-year plan.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Micheline Pitt. All right, go on.
So I had my resume and a cover letter and like a 5-year plan, and I sat down and we were at Mr. Ramen. And
that's right.
Yeah, Mr. Ramen. It's a magical place. And like the look on her face was so classic. Like, I pulled this out. She's like, oh yeah, she's expecting to get like this one sheet. And I just start talking about all the things I could do and all the things I could do for Pinup Girl and all the potential and like where I think it should go and like what I could do to help. And it just like, I don't think she was used to it.
No.
And she was like, I actually saw like her entire demeanor change from like, yeah, what's this girl like gonna do? To like, whoa, and then like getting excited with me and us talking and like, you know, it totally changed in that interview. So I was just shipping Halloween costumes and doing inventory for them, and in my first 2 weeks discovered, you know, 2 employees had been stealing
a lot of money, a lot of
God.
merchandise, and it was like leaving. Yeah, she comes to me, and I mean, I say this with love, but Micheline like gets her words wrong sometimes because she's a creative person, and I think it's adorable. So she comes up to me, she goes, "Look, I have a photogenic memory."
I'm from the South. Let's just use that as an excuse.
No, I end up using them like when she says it.
It's a good word.
They're always kind of perfect. Like it's a really good looking memory. It's awesome. You know, and she's like, all right, there were 4 of those cardigans. No, there was 6 of those cardigans. You bought 6, and she even after 2 weeks understood things. She was like, you never buy things in odd numbers. You always buy even numbers of things. There were 6, now there's 5, and this isn't on the site yet. So where'd it go? You know, and she started pointing out over and over. She keeps seeing that things are missing, and this is before we had like a real inventory.
There was no
program.
inventory system.
Yeah,
wow.
Now we have one.
It was just like free for
it
the
was
taking.
a warehouse full of crap.
It was totally like mom and pop, like just real bare bones, like just getting stuff done.
Yeah,
and
you trusting your employees, and
her trusting her employees.
Yeah, and again, it's I mean, well, here's the thing. I actually feel that even if someone screws you, it's important to kind of continue to be trusting. Yes. You know, you don't just say, oh, well, that person screwed me over, so now I'm just going to turn into a giant jerk and hate everyone and be suspicious, because that's on you. That means you've changed yourself because someone did something terrible. And, you know, so I'm actually still quite trusting, but, you know, it's also smart to put, you know, protect yourself as well. So the one other way that we're really good together is sometimes she'll see someone and then I'll know exactly what to do. I'll know the strategy. It's like, okay, you see something's wrong. I know how we can like completely, you know, get to the bottom of it. And so I said, look, if they're...
She really meant to say poning.
Pone. It's like, yeah, you tell me there's a problem, I'll tell you how we can pone. So what I said to Micheline was, okay, if they're stealing, they're putting it on eBay. There's no way, you know, if you're stealing that volume of things, the only way you're going to be able to move it is to put it on eBay. So we were using Firefox. I said, all right, go on every single computer and go to eBay, go to the user ID, and just start going A, B, C, because it'll autofill. And so we got to G, and bam, suddenly a user ID. So we did that for 3 minutes. We searched the user ID, and we found all of our merchandise. And the user ID, this person was so stupid, was the same as their email address that I knew of. So I know exactly who it is. So yeah, that person
there was a group
went
of
away.
them.
It was two.
But I think the third girl was also involved because she took off as soon as they got caught. Remember the other girl that worked in the back? She's the quiet Pew. One?
I can't, no, I don't, but...
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Either way, it was funny.
So that was like 2 weeks after being there.
So I was like, okay, I think I'll keep her.
You're like, she's like this
looking
one.
Out for you. She knows what's going on.
And then when did you start doing like designing for Deadly Dames?
Laura was kind of like a one-woman machine at Pinup Girl. Like, she was doing everything. And it would be... I saw, like, there's only so much one person can do.
Yeah.
So, slowly we started, like, trading off stuff off of her plate so that she could focus more on, like, production and designing. And then her and I would she just sat down one day and we just started drawing a dress.
Well, the Micheline dress.
Yeah, the Micheline dress. And then I think that's when she realized, like, we bounced off of each other really well. Yeah. And then... I had made clothes for myself growing up, and I just kind of presented this line and a name and like everything to her at dinner one night, and I said I'd really like to, because I'd mentioned to her I really want to do something like save and maybe do something, because I feel like there was like a gap, like something kind of missing from what Pinup Girl was and then the stuff that they carried.
Right.
Because at the time there really weren't a lot of brands.
No.
Not like now. Now there's a million
Pinup Couture,
brands.
that's it.
I remember because even for me back in the 90s, I would look for retro style clothing, and the only place I could really find it was like in thrift stores.
Yep.
I mean, that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were a special breed, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The people looking and looking.
Absolutely.
And stuff like this was just like it would be like a gold mine.
Right.
Nowadays.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
and there was just Pinup Couture, but then there weren't other competing brands really. There were, or not competing, but other like-minded brands, I should say.
Yeah, we sold a lot of brands, but they did different things.
They were
like
different.
Lucky 13 was rockabilly, and
it was more like casual, like, you know, edgy stuff.
T-shirts and jeans and pants and stuff.
Yeah.
So I presented the first collection to her essentially, because she was like, "Oh, you should show me some stuff." So I designed everything and like put it all together in a color story and like with the theme. I gave you
a 3-week deadline.
Yeah.
I said you have to do it in 3 weeks. You have to give me this many pieces. There has to be a color story. They have to be able to mix and match. Go. And she came back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like a lot of the core pieces were things I actually had designed and made myself from when I was much younger, that I loved so much that I thought other people, and I'd get compliments on them. So I figured like I should start with that. I should start with things that I kind of made for myself. And then it just kind of took off. We did a trade show and it did really well. And I was like shocked.
You're vibrating. We're on the way home. She's like, oh, I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. It was really good. It was really good. And I'm like, yeah, it's good.
I know. That was like her for many years at getting me to calm down.
That's so funny.
Oh, I still do.
Yeah.
I stopped you from hitting that guy at Tiki Oasis.
Yeah. There's that
in Germany. Well, I stopped you from hitting him again.
Hitting him again in Germany. So we work well off of each other, and honestly, like I think it's been amazing because Laura has her own line that she designs, and I'm able to like help her with all the intricacies of that, and we really like work well together. She helps me, I get to help her. Like it's a total collaborative effort on both of our parts. Like she helps me Deadly Dame stuff, and I help her with Laura Byrne stuff whenever she needs it, and then Pinup Couture is kind of like both of us coming together and creating cool stuff.
That's amazing. It seems like it's always like really good to have a partner. I mean, honestly, like trying to do it all by yourself.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times of partnerships, not to say people can't be equal partners, but I always like she's always the one in charge. Right. For me, it's like I know that she's my boss, and that what I want is my job is to make her happy.
Right.
You know, and I think a lot of times when people come on,
so easy.
As designers, they get really big egos and they try to make it about themselves rather than the product or about the relationship or the brand or their customers. And I think that's the biggest advice I could give anybody. Like, if you want to do this, like, you can't go in thinking, like, I love Zach Posen, but you can't go in and thinking you're going to be Zach Posen. You have to go in and be like, I'm going to make something really awesome for this company, and I'm going to learn and I'm going to grow, and it's going to be great. Right. And I think so many people think about themselves.
Well, when I watch like Project Runway, and I understand that the whole thing is a reality show and they pick certain types of personalities, but when I see these people who aren't doing jack yet, and their designs are still a little mediocre, and they are acting like divas, I'm looking at them and I'm like, you are snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. You if you don't lose this attitude, it's over, because no one's going to want to deal with you. But I think the other reason it's important to have a collaborator is because if you're the only person designing, then you're in like this echo chamber. And you know, it could be you don't always know what your next step is going to be, and you can get tendencies to, like, for instance, you do a line, it does really, really good, and if you're the only person designing it, you know, if you don't have someone that's consulting with you, you know, you could say, oh, let me just keep doing more of the same thing, or let me just do something crazy, you know, because you get almost anxious and insecure because it's all on you. Right. And if it's a collaboration, then there's always someone there to say, oh, you know what, that looks good, but we've done so many dresses with that sleeve. Why don't we mix it up? Or why don't we try this or something? Like, for instance, she'll show me things that I have not even thought about. Like, oh, hey, look, it's a circus print. And I'm like, what? But then she's, oh, we could make it so it's not hideous and creepy. Okay, if you can do that, you know, and I never would do that on my own, you know. I'll make
show her stuff all the time.
Cats all over it, but not.
It's like, look at this dog fabric, and she's like, no. And I'm like, it's gonna be great. Just wait, let me redo it.
Well, no, we compromise. I say, okay, my dog needs to be on it. Draw my dog, and it'll be.
But now her dog is gonna have its own print.
Oh, really? That's so funny. You actually do the drawings too, don't you?
Yeah,
for the patterns.
For a lot for the prints.
A lot of them.
Yeah, the prints.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
We take vintage prints and we will change them around a little,
or you like use them as inspiration and do something completely new.
Right. This what I'm wearing was based on a pair of pants we found in New Orleans or Tennessee. I can't remember where. And
a pair of pants.
Yeah, and
oh my God.
It was actually the exact white and green. You know, it was white fleur de lis with green, which we did that colorway too.
Yeah.
And I said, oh my god, I need pants in this car, you know. And then I said, let's do black and gold too. And I'm so happy I did, because it turns out I like the black and gold a lot better.
And if you're a Saints fan, it's like the perfect thing to wear, which I think is pretty great.
Yeah.
Accidentally, we did not plan that.
We did
not.
Was
a total like kismic thing.
Right.
Awesome.
But then we'll do patterns just from whole cloth, like the novelty prints that we do. That'll be Micheline, and now we've started to hire other people to do it, you know, because we've become so well known for the prints. Not just that, but like at one point I realized Micheline was working on 6 fabric prints at one time on top of trying to do her job, and I said, okay, no, we need to get more people in here.
That's gonna be my life, honestly, because we have a huge project that we get to talk about soon. There's gonna be a press
talk
release.
about it now.
Oh,
it can only be vague.
That has a lot of textile prints, but I don't have to do everything from start to finish. So
that's good. No, you could alter stuff.
Yeah, just to alter it, make it work.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I really wanted to put a deck on my house.
The floor was creaking and there were cracks in the wall.
I had them put in walls in my basement.
Well, the whole thing was done on time, on budget, and not a day of work was missed.
Alpha Structural is a top-rate company. I'd recommend them to anybody.
If you live in a hillside home and gravity is pulling you towards the edge of the cliff, I recommend you call Alpha.
It was a real pleasure to work with Alpha.
So one of the things that I think is really cool is that you guys are really all about empowering women. And I think, that's a very important thing to me, because I've also, you know, done a lot of things that are sort of like in a man's world a lot, you know, as I've grown up, because I really like those things, whether it's, you know, I like riding motorcycles or whatever, or even working in construction, and always being the female, you really do see that whole you know, major issue. In fact, some of them had a real issue with me being their boss. Yeah, big time.
Oh yeah.
So it's really a thing, and it's still there. It's still there.
It's big and small. Like, for instance, a couple years ago, I had a car. It took diesel, but it didn't look like your regular diesel car. And I had that lease for 3 years, and I'd say about 9 or 10 times I had men come up to me and say, "Excuse me, ma'am, you're putting diesel in your car, you know that, right?" I mean, to the point that that I was starting to get like really, like, they would come up to me, "Excuse me, ma'am," and I'm like, "I know it's diesel." Like
it's like Ghostbusters in that scene where
like,
are you the keymaster?
Like my head turns around, I'm spitting pea soup at him, and I'm really, really mad. And then he's like, "Oh God, that lady, she's a bitch. She must be a feminist." Yes, I know it's diesel. You know, I'm sorry you don't know this car takes diesel, but it does. But yeah, and I mean, like, ridiculous little things. And going back to this idea that some men, not all men, where's Zach, not all men. Some men, you know, they cannot handle this idea that a woman is telling them what to do. And look, I get it. People come
just like
from,
how men tell people what to do. As in they do, it shouldn't be a sex thing.
It doesn't have to
be about male or female.
And what happens is people are taking whatever family dynamic that they grew up with and thinking that the entire world should run that way. And it's like, okay, if you grew up somewhere where one parent lorded it over the other, okay, but that's still not life, and I don't have to sit and fit into your family dynamic. So we care about that, and the thing is, it's because we care about it for ourselves. It's like, if I'm going to live my life in such a way where I've decided that our friend Kevin, who works for Pinup Girl as well, he always calls it, you know, just kind of disrupting the narrative.
Poor Kevin's like the only guy.
One of the only, but it's fine. He loves it.
He's great.
He's like,
what does he do at Pinup?
He's the vice president of wholesale, and he's
like a male version of me.
He's a jack of all trades. He does a million different things.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, his main job that's on his business card is that he grows our wholesale division, but the reason he's in that position is because he can talk to someone and immediately see a connection, like, oh, we can do this, and make a lot of money. So, and then he'll present it to me and say, hey, why don't we do this thing? And I'm like, oh, that sounds really good. And then I say, make it happen. He goes, you got it. And he goes and does it, and he's very happy. And he has no problem, you know, saying, yeah, this is my boss and I work for her and she's great. You know, but it's funny because his family dynamic was not such that there was one parent lording it over the other, so he can handle it. And so, you know, essentially, because I have decided that in my everyday life, I am going to disrupt that narrative every time I come up against it. And then I feel that it's not just good enough for me to be that way or for Micheline to be that way. If we figured out how to do it, and we've found that our lives are happier as a result, then we're going to teach other people how to do it.
And you guys do this on social media a lot.
Yeah.
I follow both of you.
Yeah. We shut people down.
Yep.
Not just men. I mean, it's more women than anything. We have to teach them to be nice to each other.
Yeah.
It's like if we keep ripping each other apart and attacking other women and are negative, then we're not helping anyone.
Right.
We're not moving forward.
It's not about women versus men or men versus women, or there's a lot of dynamics at play, and like women do when they see another woman doing something they're not, and this is also just for humans. When a human sees another human doing something they're not, you always get a little twinge. If you want to be doing that, you go and then you have a choice. You could either say, well, let me learn from that person and try to be like them, or let me fight that person, because I don't want to. If they succeed, it's holding a mirror to me. It's making me look bad for not doing it myself. So you see a lot of the backlash coming from women because they're threatened too.
Yeah.
It's like if competing with other women, if being catty and passive aggressive and all this stuff and is helping them, or if they think it's working for them in some way, if they're being challenged to not do that anymore, there's going to be a backlash factor. But what we found is that the more people that go along and continue to just say, no, we're going to disrupt the narrative and we're just going to live our lives and be happy and we're not going to be part of this BS, then it does empower and encourages other women to do it as well. And then I love what we see now, that if someone comes in and we post a photo and some girl says, oh, she's fat, you're promoting obesity, there's 10 women. We don't even, before we even get there to say, nah. There's 10 women going, wait a minute, no, this doesn't promote obesity. What's wrong with her size? Don't say bad things about other women. What's your problem? Why do you care? And they do it in a way where they never attack that woman. They attack what she said.
Right.
They never say, well, look at you. So they're doing it in a way that's
and
constructive.
If they ever do, we shut them down.
Yeah,
and
then
say,
suddenly
like,
we'll shut down our defenders and say, you know what, you can agree with us, but we don't agree with what you just did, and we're not going to be okay with it. You're not allowed to call names. You're not allowed to be nasty. And that's why people go there, and I hate to use the term safe space, but in a way it is, because we make it safe. We make sure that you can go there, you can support other women, and that you could also make a comment, and you can be whatever size you want, and no one's going to get on you for anything, for the way you look. If you say something that is problematic and can be hurtful, we will definitely say something. And also, we've had people come and say things to us like, oh, you called that the geisha skirt, is that problematic? And we'll respond, you know what, maybe a little. And we'll address it. We're not going to be hypocrites and say, oh no, you can't talk about us, and we get criticized as well, which I'm sure you've seen, and we take it and we move on,
I think that the way that you guys manage your online presence, I mean, it's so gracious, but you also really do like hold your position.
Boundaries.
Yeah, you do, and it's awesome. I mean, you have a huge following. I think it's like something like over 500,000 followers on.
It's almost 1 million on Facebook.
Is it now?
And
we're gonna hit 900,000, I think, in about 2 weeks.
And
we're at
probably
like 880.
Yeah, and we're gonna be at 150 on Instagram soon.
Wow.
Yeah, 60K on Twitter.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, you're talking about something that's really hitting home with a lot of women, and it's really important to us.
They haven't heard this in a really long time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go on mainstream media, they're not saying that. In fact, what are we seeing? We're seeing just, terrible, terrible things, and now it's at the point that you can turn on the news and there's men treating women like crap. I don't know the entire thing, but someone on Facebook posted, there was one of those panel discussions on CNN or whatever, one of those news networks, and there was a woman, I guess she was a model, and she had an opinion on something, and the guy goes, oh, don't worry your pretty little head about it.
Oh,
my
God.
I hope she snapped.
No, she did not reach across the table and strangle him. That is not what happened, and I am very unhappy about that. But no, and what I'm noticing is that how women in general are finally saying, yeah, no, disrupt the narrative, no. The backlash is, again, we've talked about the backlash factor with women who were like, wait a minute, but this has been working for me. With men, it's the same thing. But wait a minute, this has been working for me. Now you're doing something different and we're not okay about it. So I'm noticing in the mainstream media, we're almost seeing that we're going backwards. But the fact is, we're not going backwards. It's backlash. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So, what you're seeing is people going, oh, crap. women are starting to kind of figure out that they can do whatever they want, and so we're going to
And you can't shame
reinforce.
them for it. Consistently. It doesn't
And like
stop
I said,
working.
I don't like to say slut. I like to say expert.
We don't believe in slut shaming
No.
at Pinup Girl at all.
No, we don't
That's
believe in
good.
slut shaming. We believe in sluts.
We believe in sluts wholeheartedly.
We believe in you. We
Or
believe in
any
you.
life choice, honestly.
Exactly.
Yes.
Do what you want. I
If
mean,
it makes
we've
you
had Tara
happy,
Patrick
doesn't
model
hurt
for us.
anybody, we aren't going to judge anyone.
Yeah.
Tara Patrick is model for us. Kit Natividad, who is my substitute mom, has modeled for us. And, these are just amazing women. They're kind and sweet and generous, and they like to fool around.
And they're human. And they
One of them both of them have done it on TV. We have done this on camera. We like it so much. Don't care. Love you. Don't care. It's her choice. You don't judge. It's like if she was hurting other people, if Tara Patrick was walking up to people on the street and slapping them in the face, I'd be like, Tara, we have to fucking talk. This is terrible. Stop hitting people. But I'm not going to talk to her because she doesn't even do it anymore. But I'm not going to talk to her about that because it's her choice. It's what she wants to do. And in her book, she's like, I like it. I like having sex on camera. All right, you like it. Do it. End of story.
Thank you so much for watching the ladies of Pinup Girl Clothing, Laura and Micheline on
the
The Red
Booth.
Booth.
Yay!